Well, this is Baruch Fleischman here. We are at the Tigran Elevator Kollel, and we're learning the Sefer Zohar. Now, that we've mentioned before is that the motto really of the Tigran Elevator Kollel is to learn Zohar every day. There's lots of different levels of learning the Zohar. You don't have to just be a person who's getting into it really deeply, like I try to do. I'm not saying that I really get the whole idea, but I'm trying as hard as I can to get into it deeply, and I've been working on it. But even just reading it, even if you don't understand what it says, but saying a certain amount of this every day is a tremendous, tremendous help because it is the ultimate glee and the ultimate channel for bringing the light of God into the world. This is attested to by none other than the Vilna Gaon, Menachem Breslov. All of the great, great rabbis of the past all know the power of Zohar. So let's come over here and let's see what we've got. Now this is a section in the Zohar which is called the Raya Mehemna. Raya Mehemna means the faithful, the shepherd, the faithful one. So Raya Mehemna is the faithful shepherd. Who is the faithful shepherd? It's Moshe Rabbeinu. If you read the 5 books of Moses, you get into it as I did when I was many, many years ago. You hear the words of Moshe Rabbeinu. He is, in fact, our faithful shepherd. He knows who we are. And he is trying constantly to bring the Torah of Hashem to us. So let's read and listen to Raya Mehemna. Now, the Raya Mehemna lived approximately, I would say, 2,000 years before Rebbe Shimon, maybe 1,800 years, maybe 1,700. I'm not sure. And so there's a difference. The Raya Mehemna shows up in the yeshiva of Rebbe Shimon. And there they learn, he comes and says, oh, Torah. Well, a lot of times it's a higher level of Torah. Let's see what he says. He said, "B'bein shloshim shana v'mala." This is our Parshas Nasso. Between we're learning down here. Let me just say that at the top we have the straight Zohar. This is the way the Matot makes it. Down below we have what is called a running commentary. In Hebrew, it's called a Pirush Rochot. So it's a running commentary. So it said, "V'bein shloshim shana v'mala," from 30 years of age and onwards. Vad ben chamishim shana, until he reaches the age of 50. Call abad lavoda, the vodas avoda. All those who come to serve, that is, in the holy temple, the vodas avoda. He says, Masa ba'ochel mo'ed, which is the work that is done in the tent of meeting, in other words, in the temple. So this mitzvah zu hi l'hiyos leviyim is shorter than b'mitzvah. This is so that the Levium could be singing. This is a commandment for the tribe of Levi to become singers in the Beis Hamikdash. Kafirish Rashi, like Rashi explains, he hashir b'mitzaltayim. This is the song that they sing along with cymbals, v'kinoros, and harps. In other words, musical instruments. Shehi avoda lo avodas acheres. So this is the avoda of a different kind of avoda. V'chein nikros avodas avodas. So therefore, it's called the work of work. Now, what's the main work in the base of temple? In the temple is the work that the Kohanim do with the sacrifices. It says, "Va'afal gadol hakimna la'elo," that even though va'afal pisha g'var bi'arna, the word explained amal, the Parshat Bahar, Inyan Zeh, we've discussed this, apparently has been discussed before. But here it's sark la'chadesh milan, but there's new things that we want to bring out new ideas. Kan sark la'chadesh divrei Torah. So we're going to make new ideas here. That the service that the Levium do within the singing and the song, who the Levium shoshorshim b'gevura, comes from the Levium who have a root in Gevura. That's very interesting to tell you that music is basically a Gevura. It's a contraction in some way. The whole Kohen ihu matriv karbana, because the Kohen brings the offering. And he is actually the same as a malach by the name of Mechoil. Maybe we say not the same, maybe that's the right word, but a symbol of, or connected to. Ki HaKohen HaElyon called Makrib as a carbon, because the upper Kohen, that is the Kohen in Olam Atzilus, so he says, offers the carbon. V'hu malach Mechoil, and that's this malach who is called Mechoil. The Levi, Ihu Gavriel, but the Levi is not Mechoil. The Levi is attached And I've always say, this is my opinion, when we speak about malachim, that we're really speaking about the angels of transportation of your song. In other words, they are a channel that moves up and down and brings our prayers upwards and our blessings downwards. So this is the concept of it's a little elevator in each one of them. So here we have like the Michoel, but Levi is really attached not to that, but a different channel, the channel of Gavriel, which is Lashon Gevurah. Ehud Sarak Lenagna. He's the one, the Levi. That's the one who's attached to Gavriel that has to do the singing. The Fihum Malach Gavriel, because he is really a part of the Malach Gavriel, or let's say a tad. Ehud Sarak Lenagim, and so therefore that's the one that has to do the music. So let's try to understand this. What we're trying to do, the tikkun is, and we've said this before, and if you haven't heard it before, you need to understand this. What is tikkun? Tikkun means the fix. The fix, that is to fix our relationship with the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, to bring bracha down to ourselves. But the word tikkun always has to do with this phrase. It's matus haor, limiting the light, because the light of the Ein Sof is by himself nothing. And we've had this concept before. Nothing is the concept of none other besides him. Now, if there was another element, then there would be two, and then he would be something. He would be the opposite of the other. Or if there were three, etc., etc., etc. But there isn't. There's only oneness. And everything that comes ultimate truth is regards to that oneness. So he says, but here we're seeing that the channel for bringing music up to heaven, let's say so to speak, is through Gavriel and Gevurah. So the call mini tikkun tzrichim based bini shefa. So every time there's a tikkun, which means once again bringing light lower, meaning that the light is becoming thicker and becoming more physical, limited in the power of the light of the Ein Sof. So one of these streams has to be from the side of Chesed, and this is what it makes possible for those sparks of holiness that are trapped in this filthy world in which we live, that we should elevate the sparks. That's the koach behind it. That's the Chesed. But the actual elevation itself, the elevator work itself, because the Gevurah that actually squeezes it into position. So therefore the Kohen, who is represented by the angel Mechoel, who has a root in Chesed, as a carbon, he's the one that offers the carbon. So once again, the Kohen, which represents Chesed, you have to have Chesed first. Chesed makes it possible for the Gevurah to rise. It's the power behind the energy that lets it do that. The Levi, Shuhu Gavriel, which is the Gevurah itself, Shoshoshom in the Gevurah, he has to play a musical instrument. He has to sing. He has to bring song. So first you take it from the hand of of kindness that really stimulates everything. And then you start channeling it, because music is very highly differentiated, as we know. So he says the Rosa de Milo. So let's talk about the secret of the Visoda Doverhu. Masha Kasav Yomam Yitzavach Hashem Chasdo. So we have a pasuk. During the daytime, Hashem commands his chesed. In other words, his chesed is dominant. Do chesed, that's refers to chesed. Kahana Rabbah, which is the high priest. Zohar chesed is Zer Anpin de Atzilus. Who's the high priest? The high priest is the chesed of Zer Anpin de Atzilus. Now, Zer Anpin of Atzilus has 6 spheros: Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. So those 6 spheros, but it's of the chesed of this Zer Anpin, Shuhu HaKohen HaGadol, who is in fact the high priest. The Mikoil Ihu Kohen Hedya, the actual truth is that the high priest is the chesed of Atzilus. Where is Mechoel located? Mechoel is located in Olam Yitzira, which is 2 olamos, they're 2 thicker worlds away from Atzilus. So he says, in other words, it's really far away. So he's a Kohen Hedya, but he's an ordinary Kohen. Lagabe Mare, if you see it in relationship to where it came from originally, that is the light came from the Chesed of Atzilus. He mechoil who Kohen Hedya Klape Kono in regards to his maker. Kolomba she'e biyada koach elohu shlucho shel Chesed Zer Anpin, but rather he has no power of his own, but he's an emissary. That's why I say that a Kohen is like an elevator cab. But it's the whole shaft, the whole elevator, all moving up and down. Shu shaluchu shel chesed is their anpin lahakrev karbanos, in order to offer karbanos. Now, what's the idea of the karbanos? Is to go down and take the carbon and lift it up, lift all of that smoke, everything that's involved with it, and lift it up. Beam called da the hedyod ihu etzel mare. Vafal pishu hu kohen hedyod klavikonos, and the foil that we understand he's the elevator. So he says, even though that he's just an ordinary Kohen, if you consider that he's coming from Olam Yitzira and bringing it upwards, or bringing it down, bringing the shefet down, or bringing the flesh of the desires up, he says he's just a hedyot of the melech, the chayas of Kodesh, but he's also the king over the holy of the holy chayos. Now, what are the holy chayos? They're the chayos in the vision of Yecheskel that are pulling the chariot. Well, what's the chariot? The chariot, once again, is the big elevator. And the big elevator is pulled by 4 animals. What do these correspond to? Different malachim. One animal is the ox, the shore, which a shore is going to see is related to the word shear, which is related to the concept of Gevurah. One is an ox, one is a lion, one is an eagle, and then one is a man. It's the face of a man. These are the 4 faces of the Chayas HaKodesh, but it's in Olam Yetzirah. The Chayas HaKodesh, who Hamalach Shel Chayas HaKodesh Sheba Olam Yetzirah. Bolav Omer Chazal, and in regards to this, the rabbis say, this is a Gemara in Masechtas Brachos. Birchas Hedyo al tihi kala beinecho. If you're getting a bracha from an ordinary kohen, so that's what he says. He means he's talking about mechoil. Mechoil actually reaches down into our world, takes it into Yetzirah, and goes up from there. So this is what it means. And in the daytime, Hashem commands or in charge. His chesed is in charge. What does that mean? Because another name for Zer Anpin, we have all these names that go in this way and that way. He says is Yud Kei Vav Kei, is Zer Anpin. Mitzvah v'sholeach es malach hamichoil. So this chesed that we're talking about, it commands and sends out this malach once again down into our world. Shukul b'tzad the chesed, they're coming for the chesed. Kedei lahakriv karbanos, in order to bring in karbanos. This is Baruch Fleischman, and this has been the shir here, Parshas Nasso.